Hello, sports fans. It is Wednesday, March the 6th, the year 2013, and as usual, a lot to get to in the sports world, so let's get it going right now. Before we get into our State of the Union of the NHL, let's go through some scores of note from last night. Let's start with the college basketball, where Ohio State went into Indiana and beat the number 2 ranked Hoosiers. What an impressive win by Ohio State. Indiana is a very tough place to play there in Bloomington. It was Senior night in Indiana. Ohio State, an impressive win. I didn't think Ohio State could pull it off. I was talking about Ohio State yesterday. I was saying they were a good team, not a Final Four team. A lot of the games this year on the road, Ohio State came up a little small. Well, they played big last night. I was really impressed by Ohio State. Over to the Indiana side. Now, we all love Indiana. We know they're a threat to win it all. We know they can get to the Final Four. But I've been reading a lot of articles, and basically every expert has picked Indiana to win the national title like it's a foregone conclusion. Not so fast. This Indiana team is not unbeatable, as we saw last night. Indiana's been ranked number 1 3 times this year and been bounced from the number 1 spot 3 times. They are not unbeatable. I've seen them lose a bunch of games this year. They can be beat. This is not the Indiana team with Isaiah Thomas and Bobby Knight that went undefeated. I mean, it's not that type of team. They are a really good team. They can get to the Final Four. They can win it all, but they can be picked off. I mean, we saw that last night. Ohio State outplayed them last night. So nice job by Ohio State last night. Also, last night, Notre Dame at home beat St. John's. St. John's is all but finished. They're going to have to win the Big East tournament to get to the dance. That's not going to happen. St. John's is headed to the NIT. St. John's actually led this game at the half, played a really nice first half, and then Notre Dame just laid the wood on them in the second half. Notre Dame outscored them by like 30 points in the second half. It was just ridiculous. I think St. John's had 14 points in the second half, so Notre Dame just blitzed St. John's in the second half last night. St. John's headed to the NIT. Missouri blasts Arkansas. I thought this game might be a little closer because the Arkansas coach used to coach at Missouri. I thought Arkansas would be up for this game. They weren't. Missouri beats them by about 30. Ole Miss, very important win. They beat Alabama. UNLV beats Boise State. Bad loss by Boise State. They were on the bubble. They needed a quality win. They didn't get it. Another team on the bubble that lost. Southern Miss was on the bubble. They lost to Marshall of all teams, so good night, Southern Miss. A lot of teams last night that had a chance to build their resume lost. Southern Miss, Boise State, Alabama, St. John's, and even Arkansas all lost. Those teams are all headed to the NIT unless they win their conference championships. Over to the NBA we go, where Oklahoma City beat the Lakers. It was a light night in the NBA. I did catch some of this game. Oklahoma City won this game by 17 points. It's funny. Oklahoma City had a big lead at the start of this game. Lakers kind of hung around, got it down to 5 in the fourth quarter. Then Oklahoma City pulls away late. I read so many articles this morning on how the Lakers hung in the game and how they can play with the big boys now. They can play with the big boys now. They lost by 17 points. I mean, they're 1-11 against the top 8 of the West on the road. The Lakers are a game under 500. I mean, now it's about moral victories for the Lakers. Now it's about hanging around. Now when the Lakers lose by 17, it's a story. Now it's, oh, the Lakers can play with the big boys. Why? Because they rallied a little bit in the fourth quarter. They never got it closer than 5 points. They lose by 17. 1-11 against the top 8 on the road in the West. I mean, they're under 500. They're 3 games out of a playoff spot. This was a team that's built to win a championship. This is a team that has Kobe Bryant, Dwight Howard, Gasol, Nash, Artest, Jameson, on and on and on. And now we are giving them credit for losing by 17. I am so sick of this Laker team. I'm sick of the media talking about the Lakers every day. I can't take it anymore. Even if the Lakers slip into the playoffs in one of those bottom spots, they're going out in the first round because they're going to have to play either San Antonio, Oklahoma City, or the Clippers without home court. They can't beat any of those teams. They can't beat them. I mean, I cannot believe the people that wrote these articles this morning. Now we see the Lakers can hang with the big boys. They lost by almost 20 points last night. I can't take it anymore. Over to the NHL we go. Let's go through some scores and note from last night. Islanders, nice win at home over Montreal. Montreal was red hot, so a nice job by the Islanders last night. Washington, big comeback at home against the Bruins. Washington was down 3-0 in this game. They rallied to win. If Washington is ever going to get on a roll, this is the game that gets them going. Rangers, nice win at home in the Garden over Philadelphia. Rangers battling for that last playoff spot right now, so that was an important win. Chicago at home keeps doing it. Chicago beats Minnesota. They hang on. Minnesota rallied late, but Chicago hung on for the win. Chicago has not lost in regulation. Are you kidding me? How long is this streak going to go on? I mean, I cannot believe this streak. What an amazing job by the Blackhawks. And LA beat St. Louis last night in Los Angeles. LA's flying up the standings. They won the Cup last year, had a little bit of a hangover. They are starting to roll. They have a really solid team. And one other score from soccer yesterday. Real Madrid beat Manchester United 2-1. I did mention this game yesterday. The referee destroyed this game. Manchester United was up 1-0. Referee gave Manchester United a red card. And in soccer, when you get a red card, the player is sent off and you can't sub in for him. So basically, Manchester United was playing a man down most of the second half. Madrid scores twice. They win 2-1. They advance in the Champions League. Just an awful job by the referee. Ruined a good game. That's the second game I've seen in soccer this week where the referee has ruined it. I watched the under-20 finals between the USA and Mexico on Sunday. It was a 1-1 game. USA had a breakaway. Mexico guy trips him from behind in the box. Referee doesn't call him. Should have been a penalty kick for the USA. They could have easily went up 2-1. Could have won the game. Instead, the ref doesn't call it. They go to overtime. Mexico scores twice and wins 3-1. So that was a bad refereeing job. And yesterday was just as bad. I mean, you cannot call a red card there. You cannot send a guy off in a critical match like this. Ruin the game. So I watched 2 soccer games this week, and the referees ruined both of them. All right, without further ado, let's go to our State of the Union in the NHL. We're going to start in the West. We're going to go worst to first. We'll give you the records, points, a little synopsis of each team. You know the drill. All right, we're going to start in the West. Number 15, the Columbus Blue Jackets. They are 7-12-4, 18 points. They play hard, but they always lose. And they have 3 first-round picks coming up in a very nice NHL draft. What more can you say about the Blue Jackets? They do have a new GM. Maybe the future's bright if they can turn these 3 first-round picks into 3 good players. They do play hard, though, but they usually lose. Number 14, Colorado, 8-9-4, 20 points. They got O'Reilly signed, so that is a good sign. It should have never taken this long. They do sign O'Reilly. Number 13, Calgary, 8-9-4, 20 points. They tried to sign O'Reilly. O'Reilly was a restricted free agent. Calgary made him an offer. Colorado matched it, so Calgary was left with nobody. They tried Calgary. They look a little foolish not getting a player, but they did make an effort. Number 12, Edmonton, 8-9-5, 21 points. They're up, they're down. They are exciting, but they're very inconsistent. Number 11, Nashville. They are 9-9-5, 23 points. Lost 4 or 5. Same old story for Nashville. They're not scoring. They do not have any offense. They just cannot get any offense going. Number 10, Minnesota, 11-9-2, 24 points, 5-3-1 last 9. Starting to creep up the standings, starting to get there. I actually like Minnesota's team. They're starting to get there. Still have some work to do, though. Number 9, St. Louis, 11-9-2. They also have 24 points. Only 5-5 at home and no offense. I mean, I thought St. Louis would be a little better than this. They do have some time. They are, they're right there for the playoffs. I thought they'd be a little better. That's your teams that would be out of the playoffs right now. Here's your top 8. Number 8, Dallas, 11-9-2, 24 points, 3-1-1 in their last 5, and they had a nice win against St. Louis. This is just where we thought Dallas would be, fighting for that 8th spot. Number 7, Phoenix, 11-8-3, 25 points, 6-3-1 last 10, starting to play really good hockey. Remember, Phoenix had a nice run in the playoffs last year. Number 6, Detroit, 11-8-4, 26 points. Only 3 wins in their last 10. This is not a vintage Detroit team, but you can never count them out. I mean, you can never count Detroit out. It's hockey town up there. I mean, the fans are tremendous. They always have a good team, always in the playoffs. Not a great Detroit team, though. I wouldn't expect them to make a run for the Cup this year. Number 5, San Jose, 11-6-4, 26 points. 4 wins in their last 14, but they're still in the 5 spot. Had a nice win against Vancouver last night. I still don't love San Jose. I mean, San Jose has let you down so many times in the playoffs. You can't trust them at all. Number 4, LA. I mentioned them before. 12-7-2, 26 points, 7-3 in the last 10. They're on a 5-game homestand, and they're starting to play some good hockey. Watch out. Here comes LA. We know they can do it. They won the Cup last year. Number 3, Vancouver, 11-6-5, 27 points. They've lost 4 of 5. They lost to Calgary. They also lost to San Jose last night. They have a couple injuries. They have a good team, Vancouver, but they're another one. They're like San Jose. How many times have they let you down in the playoffs? It seems every year Vancouver falls flat on their face in the playoffs. Number 2, Anaheim, 15-3-3, 33 points, 8-1-1 last 10. If it wasn't for Chicago, Anaheim would be the story of the West. Anaheim is the surprise team of all of hockey as far as I'm concerned. I never thought they'd be this good. I mean, they are playing tremendous hockey. 15-3-3, great job by Anaheim. Very deep, 4 solid lines. Number 1, Chicago, 20-0-3, 43 points. The streak goes on. What a job by the Blackhawks. Their goaltending has been off the charts. They are battling every night to keep this streak alive. I can't say one bad word about Chicago. What a job. 20-0-3. Haven't lost in regulation in 23 games. Impressive. Over to the Eastern Conference we go. 15-1. Number 15, Florida. 7-11-5. 19 points. 2-10 in their last 12 games. Last in goals allowed. They're a mess, Florida. There's not much more I could say. Number 14, Washington, 9-11-1, 19 points. They need a streak. And as I said before, if they're going to go on a streak, that win over Boston last night has to get them going. I mean, they were dead in that game, came flying back and won over a really solid Boston team. If Washington is going to make a move, this is the time. Number 13, Buffalo, 9-13-2, 20 points. They were 3-0-1 in a 4-game stretch. You thought, oh, Buffalo's turned the corner. Now they've lost 2 in a row. I mean, Buffalo's got to be more consistent. I don't know what to make of them. They, like I said, 3-0-1 in a 4-game stretch. Then they come back and lose 2 in a row. I mean, so Buffalo, still a lot of work to do. Number 12, Tampa Bay, 10-12-1, 21 points. They've lost 4 of 5. They're 26th in goals allowed. I am not impressed with Tampa Bay at all. I thought they'd be better than this. I know they can score. They got some offensive people, but they give up too many goals. I mean, and they got off to a nice start this year. I have not been impressed with Tampa Bay lately at all. Number 11, Winnipeg, 10-11-1, 21 points, 5-2 in their last 7, so they're starting to play some decent hockey. Number 10, the Islanders, 10-11-2, 22 points. Beat Montreal last night. Nice job by the Islanders. It's a solid win. Montreal's tops in the East. Nice job in the Islanders. Islanders have to get consistent here. I mean, they win a few, then they lose a few, and they're always around 500 here. Islanders have some talent on this team. This is not a total dog team. They can do something. They can fight for that last spot. Got to be more consistent, though. Number 9, Philadelphia, 11-12-1, 23 points. I thought they were finally turning the corner. Then they lost at Madison Square Garden to the Rangers. Listen, the Rangers are a good team. Flyers were playing decently up until last night. They still have some work to do. Still only 11-12. Flyers have some work to do. Those would be your teams out of the playoffs right now. Number 8, the Rangers, 11-8-2, 24 points, 2-4-1 away from Madison Square Garden. Got to pick up that road record. Got to get everyone healthy. I think the Rangers are a contender when they get everyone healthy. But, I mean, right now they're not playing all that great. Did have a nice win over Philadelphia last night. Number 7, New Jersey, 10-8-5, 25 points, 1-7 in their last 8. Brodeur out. They're in a free fall. Only scored 12 goals in their last 7 games. I mean, the Devils are starting a free fall. We'll see when Brodeur can get back in the lineup. Number 6, Ottawa, 12-7-4, 28 points. They're banged up and they're still getting points. The Ottawa coach deserves a tremendous amount of credit. So does their defense and so does their goalie. All of their top guys are hurt, yet they're still hanging in there. It's amazing. Every game Ottawa plays is 1-0, 2-1, 3-2. Very low-scoring games. They are doing a nice job considering all the injuries. Number 5, Toronto, 14-9-0, 28 points. They have had no long losing streaks, Toronto. That's a very good sign. No long losing streaks, 9-4 in their last 13 games. I really like what I see from Toronto. Coach has done a nice job with this team. They're playing really hard. Number 4, Boston, 14-3-3, 31 points. Didn't like that they lost to Montreal at home over the weekend. You want to protect your home ice against your big rival. I was hoping Boston was going to win that game. They would show me something if they won that game. Not a good loss for Boston, and then they followed that up with a bad loss to Washington, a game they were winning 3-0. Listen, I think Boston is still one of the best teams in the East, if not the best team. Little shaky lately. Lost to Montreal at home, then blew a big lead to Washington. Number 3, Carolina, 13-8-1, 27 points. Their goalie's out 6 to 8 weeks. I actually like Carolina. They were my sleepy team at the beginning of the year. I do like Carolina. They're leading their division. We'll see if they can get their goalie back. I mean, like I said, he's out 6 to 8 weeks, so that is a big loss. We'll see if they can hang in there until he gets back. Number 2, Pittsburgh, 15-8-0, 30 points. Malkin back, which is good. Penguins have to tighten up their D. They give up way too many goals. And their backup goaltender, Okun, who I actually like as a backup, has been bad this year. And we know Fleury, their starter, can be shaky. We saw what he did in the playoffs last year when he just melted down against the Flyers. So it's always good to have a good backup. We thought Okun would be that. He's been bad so far. So Penguin D needs to tighten up. Goalie situation, got to straighten that up as well. Malkin is back. Number 1, Montreal, 14-5-4. 32 points. They had a huge win in Boston, and then they followed up and they lost to the Islanders. Still, Montreal, best team in the East, doing a tremendous job, playing more like they were 2 years ago than last year when they had a bad year. 2 years ago, they were a really good team before they lost to Boston in the playoffs. Remember, Boston went on to win the Cup that year. Montreal doing a really nice job, though, and tremendous hockey city. So that's kind of where we are in our NHL right now. We still have a little time. We're kind of about halfway through the half season this year in the NHL. Remember, it's a half season. We're kind of getting towards the halfway point of that. It's going to go quick, though. Only half a year in the NHL. So you can't fall behind too much. You want to hang around. You don't want to fall behind by 8, 10 points for that last playoff spot. I want to hang around there and make you run late. Okay, one thing I wanted to, before I get to what to watch tonight, last night I did watch a show on the Fab Five. That was the Michigan team of yesteryear. That was with Chris Webber and Jalen Rose and Howard, that famous Michigan team that went to the Final Four twice and lost, twice in the Final Four. Had that horrible loss to North Carolina when Chris Webber called the timeout and all that kind of stuff. I did watch the show on them. I think it was one of those 30-30 films on ESPN. Very interesting show. If you ever get a chance to watch it, and they replay those shows all the time on ESPN, if you ever get to watch it, the Fab Five about the Michigan teams of yesteryear with Chris Webber and Howard and Jalen Rose, very interesting stuff, very entertaining stuff. One thing I didn't like, though, Chris Webber didn't participate in it. I mean, they showed old footage from him. You saw some stuff on tape from him, but he didn't do anything about the show. He didn't want to participate in it for a million reasons. I'm sure he was embarrassed still to this day when he called a timeout when Michigan didn't have any and they lost to North Carolina. Then he had that whole scandal where he was, accused of taking money from a booster and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, really, really nice show, the Fab Five about the Michigan team. If you ever get a chance to watch it, please do so. Although I was disappointed Chris Webber was not involved in the making of it, but what can you do? Still worth watching, though. All right, as far as Wednesday, what to watch, let's start in your college basketball. Some games of note tonight. Georgetown at Villanova. Georgetown on fire. Villanova on the bubble. Very big game tonight. This could be a must-watch considering how hot Georgetown is and Villanova is fighting for their, March Madness lives right now. They are squarely on the bubble. Villanova wins this game. They're dancing. They are going to the dance if they beat Georgetown. So very interesting game tonight. You want to keep an eye on that. Oklahoma State at Iowa State, very nice game too. Oklahoma State's hot too, and Iowa State's on the bubble, so very nice game there. North Carolina at Maryland, interesting game. Maryland still has a shot, but they are in trouble. As far as your NHL, a couple games to keep an eye on. Ottawa at Toronto, very nice game. Phoenix at Anaheim, nice game. And Colorado at Chicago is a nice game as well because Chicago has this big winning streak, so you always got to keep an eye on what they're doing. We'll see if the streak continues. Over to your NBA, Boston is at Indiana. Indiana's great at home. Chicago at San Antonio. And Milwaukee is at the Clippers. So you got some decent stuff tonight. Tonight I would really focus in on that Georgetown-Villanova game. Very nice game. Georgetown on fire. Villanova fighting for their March Madness lives. The game is at Villanova. Should be a nice crowd there. Should be a festive atmosphere. I mean, if Villanova wins, you could see another storming of the court. How many of those have we seen this year? So you want to keep an eye on that game. Okay, I will be back with you guys tomorrow. We'll recap what went on tonight. We'll also do our NBA State of the Union tomorrow. We'll also recap what's going to go on over the weekend. So you guys, thanks for tuning in. You guys stay safe. I know on the East Coast here we're supposed to get some snowstorm and some more bad weather. What else is new? You guys stay safe. Thanks for tuning in. I will talk to you tomorrow, Thursday. Take care. And keep an eye on that Georgetown-Villanova game. Must watch. Take care.